South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rock and dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show, every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Hey folks, good morning. It's Kenny White. Welcome to Sports by the Book, and it's a Friday, 2 days from Super Bowl 59. Should be a great game. 2 great teams. Obviously, the sports betting line has a lot to do with that. When you see a number that close, that you know it's going to be a very, very tight football game. And I think there's many cases to be made for both teams. And I'm going to go over that. I'm going to go over a lot of the prop bets. I'm going to go over my numbers, median numbers, and then my feel. Obviously, everyone talks about it. You marry your prop bets to the way you think the game's going to go. You have to. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Before that, let's dive into some NHL. There's a short schedule in college basketball, so we'll take care of those 7 games today and get you a couple winners, hopefully, here for a Friday leading up into the Super Bowl. Jeff Parles, Alex White will lead you into it on Saturday and Sunday. I know there's going to be a lot of shows at the South Point. Please check the schedule, South Point Studios on YouTube. Today at noon will be Punchlines with Frank Nicotero. So a lot of great sports, a lot of great information, a lot of great guests coming up, I believe, in the next 3 days leading up to the football. We're going to have also Football Frenzy, I know, with Chris Andrews, Eddie Melullo, and Jimmy Vaccaro. So that threesome there from the South Point, they'll give you a kind of behind-the-scenes look at what's happening at the sports book. So I always like to try to have a little, see if I can get a little winner circle ambiance here for me. All right, here we go. NHL. First game on the board, Pittsburgh Penguins at the New York Rangers. Rangers I have $1.80. This game is right now. Let me check South Point. Thanks for Sean setting me up today and getting us set here for a Friday. Opening numbers at the South Point. Rangers open $1.95, bet down to $1.96 under the total. And again, I have $1.80. I'm a big Ranger fan. I think they have a very, very good hockey team, far better than their record indicates. So they've won 2 in a row. They're starting to play much better hockey. Pittsburgh still having their struggles. Pittsburgh has gone under 5 straight games. So my total 6 over 25 doesn't match up with what the book has right now, 6 under. I lean to the over, but don't like it because of Pittsburgh's lack of scoring as of late. The Rangers defense also with Shesterkin against a weak offensive team, he could come with a shutout. So I don't really have any value on the side or total. So it's just I can't come up with a play here. If you said, hey, give me a play, you have to give me a play in this game, I'd probably lay a puck and a half on the Rangers. So get a little bit of idea what I was thinking, but I don't think there's much value there. I think that's a coin flip. All right, the Islanders at Winnipeg. And the Winnipeg Jets, I think maybe the best team in the NHL right now. I think most goal scorers and least goals allowed. Just bet them the other day as one of the best bets Alex, my daughter, had. Plus money at home. Just amazing that they can be getting that type of price at home. We have a 215 coming into the game without checking any streaks. They've won 7 in a row, 3 in a row at home. I'd make that adjustment up to 250. The current line right now at the South Point, $1.90. I think you could parlay those two. Maybe the Rangers to win with the Jets to win would be a nice parlay. And I'm sure that's going to be a very popular parlay at the book today in NHL bets. But they are the right side. I think the Jets are laying this price against an Islanders team who I feel is rather just an average NHL team on the road against the best. My total right there, 5.5 over 23. The book has 5.5 under 20 now. A little bit of under money in this game. Can understand that with the Jets. Their median score in their home games is 3-2. That's what they win by. Nashville at Chicago. Maybe we have a different goalie here. It's either going to be Peter Marzik or Arvid Soderblom. I don't think there's much difference in the two guys, and these two teams are both right now just in a tailspin. The Nashville Predators had a very poor start to the season, finally came around a little bit in January, started to play a little bit better hockey, but now they're on a 5-game losing streak. Chicago has lost 3 in a row, and they've lost 4 straight at home. I think Nashville should be the favorite, about $1.50, dollar in that range. Right now, the South Point, they're $2 plus 75 on the Blackhawks. I'm really not interested in playing the side, either side, because both teams are playing very poorly. I just see that Saros' record this year, amazing. He's a really good goalie. 11, 22, and 6. He does have a 287 goals against. 90% save percentage is low for Saros. So this Nashville team was the team that most people were projecting to be a surprise team to begin the year. They just haven't done it. They haven't caught fire. They just have not played good hockey. So would not want to – I'm leaning to the Blackhawks, but I don't want to play the Blackhawks either. It's a bad team. The total I made 6.5 under 15, and it's 6 over minus 15. This is worth a play for me, I think, with two bad teams. Chicago Blackhawks median score at home is 4-3. The Nashville score on the road is they lose 3-2. However, I think if I just took the median over the last month, it would be higher for Nashville because they have started to score a little bit more. That Blackhawks median score, they lose 4-3, but they do have a median of 7 goals per game at home, so I'll go over 6 there. Colorado and Edmonton, we could have a goalie change here. Scott Wedgwood. Not sure who's going here, if it's Wedgwood or Trent Miner. Trent Miner, a 24-year-old rookie, has played a couple of games this year. Not a lot of ice time, but he's he's the starting goalie down in their AHL team in Colorado. Him being called up February 1st, it does seem like there's a good chance he could play. I checked a couple of sites. Most have Scott Wedgwood in the pipes, but there's one site that has Miner. So I'm guessing maybe Miner could go. Don't think there's a huge difference. I don't think it'll sway me one way or another. Could help me to the total over. I made Edmonton $1.77. They're $1.75, so it's right there. My total 6.5 under 22. The book now has 6.5 over, so money for the over on that total. I thought that over 6 would be a good play in this game between these two teams because they are really good offensive clubs. And I think the goaltending would be rather average with Wedgwood or Miner. But at 6.5, I'll just pass. The bottom game, the last game on the docket in the NHL today is the Dallas Stars, Los Angeles Kings. This should be a very good hockey game. Two really good hockey teams. I made the Kings $1.30. There's no streaks. They're minus 110 right now. Basically, you pick the winner. I don't think there's value in the side. I'm not really willing to go against Ottinger, but I am willing to go under in this game. Only made it 4.5 over a quarter. And this total right now at 5.5 under minus 15. These are two solid defensive hockey teams. Very, very good. I think two of the best in the NHL. The Dallas Stars on the road, their median score, they lose 3 to 2.5. So it is at 5.5. But the Kings median score at home, they win 3 to 2. I really think this is that what type of hockey game we see here. 2 to 2 tie late. Somebody wins it in overtime or a shootout, 3 to 2. So I'm going to go under in the Kings game. Two totals for you in the NHL. Let's head to the college hoops. 7 games on the hardwood tonight. The first one in the Atlantic 10, very good contest. Virginia Commonwealth and Dayton. Two very solid basketball teams. Dayton's very, very good, but Virginia Commonwealth, I feel, is a top 20 team and has a chance to make a run to the Sweet 16 this year. Ryan Odom, in his second year at Commonwealth, has done a great job. They're 14-8 ATS. I made them 5.5 in this game. There's been a lot of money for Dayton this morning. I think it's a must-win for Dayton. Atlantic 10, there's 15 teams in the conference. The tournament is played in Washington, D.C. College basketball is all about the conference tournament. You must win the conference tournament to get that automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. That's what these kids play for. They're playing for the conference to play in the NCAA tournament. So the conference tournament means everything. So you have to know the structure of that tournament. There's 15 teams in the conference. They all get to play, every one of them. So it's a big deal. Top 9 teams get a bye. The top 4 teams get a double bye. That's a big deal. You want to finish in the top 4. VCU right now at 8-2 is number 2 in the conference, and Dayton at 6-4 is number 4 in the conference. I just see a great effort out of both teams. They split last year. Both teams did one on their home court, but I think VCU is a much better basketball team, especially defensively. They're the far better defensive team in this contest. So I'm going to take the one. Actually, I said on my show earlier that when the game was -1, I was going to wait to see if it went to pick. Now I can get one. I still haven't bet the game yet, but I'm betting VCU today. I'll be on the side of the bookmakers. Looks like they're going to need VCU tonight. I love it. Princeton of Pennsylvania, Ivy League contest. The Ivy League, 4 teams, the top 4 teams from the standings go to the conference tournament, and it's just 1 against 4, 2 against 3. The winners move on, and they play for the championship, and that's in Providence, Rhode Island, so it'll be a neutral court between those teams. This is a rivalry game. Princeton and Penn, not very far apart. Over the bridge, they're probably about 15 miles apart, I think, at most. Big-time rivalry. Princeton is 4-2, third in the conference at 4-2. Pennsylvania is 2-4. They are tied for 5th. Dartmouth is at 3-3, so they're 1 game out with 8 to go. A lot of time to go, so it's a big game for Pennsylvania. They need the win, and Princeton definitely wants to stay where they're at. I made Princeton 5, that number at 7 right now. I lean to the dog, knowing it's going to be a tight game, and I'm under. I made the total 129.5. My projections, my model came up with this total at 129.5. Princeton, an average pace team this year, slightly below average. They're getting a little slower, but Pennsylvania plays a slow down game, and they're very weak offensively. I'm leaning to the under 2 because of my number, and I'm playing it under. It's just such a big game for both teams, and being rivals, that leads a little bit more towards this. Also thinking maybe making a small parlay because I think it's correlated. 10 plus the 7 to the under. So we'll see if that comes true. USC, but very small plays, 1%. I haven't seen. Maybe the VCU game, I may look at playing a little bit more on that. I may play 2%, but we are going against the move in that game. There you go, right there on the board. Dayton -1. The total in that game, 138.5. I have it 142. Let's move to a Big Ten game, USC and Purdue. Purdue having a great year. I hope you've been listening to watching the show here at Sports by the Book. Gave out Purdue at 60-1 to win the NCAA tournament. I really believe they're an Elite Eight team. They've got 2 of the 10 best players in all of college basketball on their team. This team can score, and that's what it takes in the NCAA tournament. Their coach, Matt Painter, is an outstanding teacher of defense. I think they'll be fine on the defensive end. They are a top 25 team. I think they're going to continue to get better as the year goes. In first place right now in the conference at 10-2, USC at 5-6. Big Ten Conference is a conference that does give buys. I don't have that in front of me right now. I went over the Big Ten Conference the other day, but this is a big game, I still think, for both teams. I think the top 4 teams get a double bye. Purdue could have a little bit of a letdown. I only made the game 11.5. It is 13.5 right now at the South Point. We'll see how they play in this game tonight. I'm not going to bet the dog. That's not a big enough difference for me. USC at 5-6 and 9th in the conference. They need a win. I'm sure they need to stay within a certain point of the 8 or 9 seed to get a single bye. So importance for them. I made this at 149. It's 146.5. Really no play. Here's a really good game. St. John's at Connecticut. Big East contest. The Johnnies 11-1 in first place in the conference. The Big East tournament is played at Madison Square Garden every year. All 11 teams make the tournament. That leaves the top 5 teams for a bye. St. John's number 1 right now ahead of Marquette. And the 4th team is Connecticut in the conference. They're 8-3. I think they have a little bit of a separation for that top 5 in that bye. I think you're going to get a great effort out of Dan Hurley's team. Rick Pitino's done a great job at St. John's. You know this guy could really coach basketball. The job he did at Iona and improving that school right away. He recruits. He's an X's and O guy. He knows how to teach fundamentals. He knows how to get his guys to play. And the Johnnies are showing that this season. I only made Connecticut 1.5. They're up to 4. A lot of money for the Huskies because there is belief the Huskies are the better basketball team and they're playing at home and have a lot to prove. I don't know. I feel like the Johnnies have more to prove in this situation. Both teams, I think, are going to come at each other here. My total is 134.5, and it has come down. It was 142.5. It's come down a point. I still like it under 141.5. Connecticut plays extremely slow. The St. John's defense is a top 5 defense this year. They play great defense. So I think it'll be a tight game, very tight game, points at a premium. So I'm under there. I may take a look at taking the 4 with St. John's. It may be another correlated parlay that I take the Johnnies +4 and under 41.5. I play small parlays, pizza money parlays, basically. When I'm playing that, when I say pizza money, what's a pizza cost you? You know, some people like plain cheese pizza. Some people like everything on their pizza, so the pizza could cost a little bit more. But, you know, kind of in that price range. If you had a $1,000 bankroll, you know, you got a $20 pizza. So you play $20 on that game. Actually, I shouldn't say that because a 1% play is $10 on a $1,000 bankroll. So maybe a pizza parlay would be $5. Maybe it's a slice of pizza that I would play in this game in a parlay. All right, St. Louis and St. Joe's. St. Louis 7-3 in the conference, 3rd place. Again, Atlantic 10, mentioned it earlier. All 15 teams go. It's in Washington, D.C. Top 9 teams get a bye. Top 4 get a double bye. So St. Louis at number 3. St. Joe's at number 8. They're in 8th. The top 9 get a bye. Both teams are playing to stay in their respective bubble of the standings. St. Louis wants that double bye. St. Joe's wants the bye. St. Joe's would love to move up to 4th to get the double bye. So I think you're going to get a really good effort out of both teams. I made St. Joe's 4.5, the number 6. I did see some 6.5s earlier. Was thinking I would take 7 if I saw it. It's not there. My total 145 is right on the number. These two teams did play earlier in the year. St. Louis won 73-57. So they are the better team. Actually, I shouldn't say that. They're not the better team. I have St. Joe's rated higher, and that's why I have the game 4.5, St. Joe's. So, but are they that much better? Not really. Very, very close. Both teams have been disappointing, burning bettors' money. They're both 8-13 ATS. The over and under trend, St. Louis 17-4 to the under. 17-4 to the under. With a coach that came from Indiana State, Josh Schertz for St. Louis. Was an up-tempo guy and they scored a ton of points at Indiana State. They were a great over team, but he has not gotten the offense going like he would like to. Both these teams do like to run. Both these teams about equal offensively and defense on the defensive side. St. Louis 7-1 under on the road. St. Joe's 7-5 over at home. St. Joe's, they're 3-8 ATS in their home games this year. Now, St. Louis is not much better, 3-5 on the road. So I guess there's not really much there for me. I really can't make a case for either team. Other than I think if the game went to 7, I just think that's too many points to give St. Louis. So we'll take a look. We'll see if that happens. Otherwise, it's a pass. 2 more games to go, both Mountain West Conference games. Then we'll talk some Super Bowl props. San Jose at Boise State. These teams have already played. Boise won in San Jose 73-71, so we've got same season home revenge. I adjusted my number of Boise minus 14 down to 11.5. The number right now at 14.5, there is a 3-point difference, but I'm really not interested. The only reason I'd be making that play is because Boise won at San Jose earlier this year. So I'm not really interested in it. I would look to take 16. I know it's way off, but that's going to be my buy point if it was a plus 16. My total 144, it is 140.5. Very small difference in this game. Both these teams play very, very slow. So they're both better offensively than they're in the defensive end, and that's why I have the total a little higher. But there's not going to be pace. It's going to be very slow, low possession, 64, 65 possessions in this game. You're going to need really good shooting. You know, when I look at St. Joe's, though, I'm amazed. They're one of the best spread cover teams in the country, 17-4 ATS. And Tim Miles is a really good head coach. So is Leon Rice for Boise. So it's a well-coached game. That 17-4 may lead me to look at maybe taking 14.5 here with a revenge factor. 6-1 ATS on the road this year, San Jose. Boise just comes off a win over UNLV, and their next game is against San Diego State. Always a big rival. This could be a sandwich game as well. So I think I just talked myself into taking that 14.5. My buy point just went down from 16 to 14.5. So I'll take the Spartans here, plus the points. And just a 1% play. Utah State at Fresno State. These teams played already. Utah State won at home 89-83. Utah State, really solid basketball team. I think Boise may be the best team in the conference or right there. But Utah State, number 2 in my mind. They're second right now in the conference at 10-2. Fresno 1-11 in 10th place. They have no shot at a bye. They just really have nothing to play for right now other than pride. And sometimes that doesn't get you very far because they're thinking about the conference tournament. That's the only way they get a shot. It's a new life to their season. If I'm their head coach, I'm staying pretty vanilla. I'm working on a couple different things to surprise somebody in the conference tournament, and I think that's got to be their goal right now. This is 2 guys that are brand new head coaches, and 2 guys I really like in this game. Jared Calhoun came from Youngstown State, very innovative guy that's a really solid basketball coach, and he's always been a very good offensive guy. He runs and they score. Vance Wahlberg for Fresno, same thing. First year at Fresno. He is a very innovative offensive coach, but his team hasn't done that this year. Just doesn't probably have the players to fit his system. Very weak offensively, very weak defensively. Utah State's just a far better basketball team. I made them 13.5. They're 11.5. Just not a big enough difference for me to play it. My total 150.5. And it's 154.5. It has come down. I saw 156.5 in the market. So it has been bet my way, but I didn't bet it under. I didn't go under the 156.5 for the reason both these teams run. And as I mentioned, both coaches are very innovative offensive coaches. And Utah State has been really good offensively under Calhoun, averaging close to 80 a game. So they're going to get into the 80s. I don't see the defensive effort there to help me keep this under. So just a couple small bets in college basketball. VCU plus the 1, Pennsylvania and Princeton under. Connecticut, St. John's under, and San Jose plus 14.5. Very small bets. 1%ers. All right, let's go to the NFL. That's the big game on Sunday. I know you're looking forward to it. I know you're getting your menu ready for what type of food's going to be at your party or what you're bringing to the party and all that, and getting your prop bets. Hopefully I can help you do a couple of player props here for Super Bowl 59, Kansas City and Philadelphia. Kansas City going for the three-peat, going for their fourth Super Bowl win in 5 years, looking to beat Philadelphia again. These two played 3 years ago, I believe it was, 3, maybe 4 years ago. Jalen Hurts was in his second year as the Philadelphia starter, had a nice Super Bowl game, 27 for 38, no interceptions, 304 yards. What a great game he had. In his postseason career, his median 18 for 27, 200 yards, a touchdown. No INTs. His expected, I'm going to do Philadelphia first. I think I probably told Sean I was going to do Kansas City first. I'm sorry about that, Sean. I don't know if you're looking for graphics back there. I'm not worried about it. My apologies. I'm going to stay on Jalen Hurts since I started with him, and then I'll run right through the Philadelphia props. So Hurts is at 18.5 completions. His season median was 16, and his median against really good teams is 15. And I'll do both quarterbacks since we have both quarterbacks. Well, that's the way with the props. So that's good. I'll bounce back and forth. Postseason, Hurts 18 for 27. That's what his median is. In the book right now, it's 18.5 completions, money to the under, and 27.5 attempts. And that's what they want to do. You know, in the Super Bowl that he played in, the only Super Bowl, they lost that game. It was a great comeback by Kansas City. Jalen Hurts was 27 for 38, went way over those numbers. There you see on the screen, total completions by Jalen Hurts, 18.5, over plus 105, under minus 125. I really don't see an edge here. They have passed a little bit less lately with Hurts on the road, 15 for 20 this year. For the entire season, 16 for 23. Why? Because they got a running back named Saquon Barkley. That's why. They got a great offensive line. So if anything, I would probably have to lean to the under in his pass completions and his passing attempts. So I'm leaning to that, not betting it. Let's look at Patrick Mahomes. We got a lot of numbers on Patrick. Pass completions, 24.5. Seems like a big number, but all postseason games, that's what his median is, 24.5 for 39. No interceptions, 277, and 2 touchdowns. They like to throw it with Mahomes in the postseason. What was his regular season numbers? 25 for 38. It doesn't matter postseason or regular season, they throw the football. 253 yards was his number, and no interceptions, 1 touchdown. That was on the entire regular season this year. Against the top 5 defenses that he played, actually, I put in Cleveland, top 6 defenses on the road, all on the road, 21 for 36. 1 interception, 221 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I think if you've been watching the show, if you've been watching, I did talk about this week, about how I re-rated every player on both teams. And I was amazed to see when it came out of the season the players had, the Philadelphia Eagles have the better roster. I think they're the better football team. The only advantage Kansas City has is Patrick Mahomes. And it's a slim advantage because Jalen Hurts is a pretty good quarterback. Who knows if Jalen Hurts wins this one and goes on to win 4 of the next 5. And he's the new big deal in the NFL. So we don't know that. But Patrick Mahomes does have the crown. So there is the Mahomes factor in this game. But this Philadelphia defense is outstanding, one of the best in the league against the pass. They will let you run a little bit. You can run a little bit on them, but Kansas City's offense has struggled running the football because they have two average offensive linemen. They're not a great offensive line. Both their running backs, Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco, have struggled. They have not put up good numbers, less than 4 yards per carry. So I guess Mahomes is going to have to throw the football, but the matchups defensively are really tough. Philadelphia is loaded on defense. Darius Slay, And a rookie on one side, Quinyon Mitchell has been very, very good. He is an above average NFL player, and their secondary is outstanding. That's not the strength of the team, though. I really feel like the strength of the team, the Philadelphia Eagles, is their linebackers with Oren Burks and Zach Bond in the middle. Bond's really come on this year. After being with the Saints, now with the Eagles, he's a different player. So Patrick Mahomes' numbers in the playoffs pretty much match up with what the numbers are out there. His passing yards are over. On the regular season, he was 253. Against the best defenses on the road, 221. Now, this is not a road game, so I could settle somewhere in between. In the 4 Super Bowls Patrick Mahomes has played in, his median stats, 26 for 44, 2 interceptions, 2 INTs. And for him to throw a pick, yes, is plus 110. And he's up against a really good pass defense. I don't think they're going to be able to run the football. I think they're going to have to pass the football. I don't know if I like completions over, but I do like attempts over 36.5. And I think you can get a plus price on that. His median in the postseason is 39. His median in the Super Bowl is 44 pass attempts in 4 games. It's still a small sample size. If they're able to run the football in this game, that will end up going over. But if they can't run the football, Mahomes is going to have to use the short passing game as the running game. And I can see that. I can't believe that his median in the Super Bowls is 2 interceptions. Again, it is small sample size. But on the road against the top 6 defenses, he did throw an interception. So the yes at plus 110 is a bet that I think I'm going to make here. And I like the Eagles. I think I got into that, but I didn't finish it. But I think the Eagles have the better roster. I bet the Eagles plus 105 on the money line. I think that was Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it was Tuesday. So I have Philadelphia. It might have been Monday morning. Can't remember what day it is now. It's Friday. 2 days to the Super Bowl. All right, so that's it on the props on the quarterbacks. I guess I lean to over in yardage too for Patrick Mahomes, 250.5. 250.5. Looking at his Super Bowl numbers, his postseason, there's a lot of games. He averages 277 in the postseason over. That's his median. So he does go over 250.5 yards. It's 251 at the South Point. Has gone up a little bit. Those are the gross passing yards. So Hurts, the only thing I really want to do with Hurts, I'm looking to go under. Under in both pass attempts and under in completions. His pass attempts is 27.5. His completions is 18.5. Postseason, he does complete 18 out of 27. That's those are good numbers, but this will be a Super Bowl with Saquon Barkley, and the Eagles' offensive line is that good that they are going to be able to run the ball. Barkley is going to make plays. So we'll jump to the running backs. Here we go. Saquon Barkley, 109.5 rushing yards. I believe it's been over 25 years since a back got over 100 yards in a Super Bowl. I don't know. That doesn't sound right to me, but Alex told me, I don't know when it was. I can't remember what she told me. But Saquon Barkley's got a good chance to get over. His season median, the entire season, 22 rushes for 119 yards. Against the top teams on the road, it gets even better. Less rushes, 19.5, but he had more yardage, 127.5. In the playoffs, 25 rushes, 119 yards. I hate to go over that number, but 109.5 seems small to me. I'm going to go over 109.5. Small bet, 1%. These are all 1% bets. Kenneth Gainwell, I haven't seen a number on him yet. I'm sure there's one out there. I haven't looked at a lot of spots. Just kind of going over my Super Bowl props today and putting all the median numbers together. I'm not big on it because I'm betting most of my bankroll every day on college basketball and women's college basketball. So there's not a lot left over at the end of the day to bet on props. So Sunday there's less games. I'll start to bet some props on Sunday. look to go under some unders that people went over on. So I'm not going to bet any of these today. Maybe Mahomes over would be something to wager on. However, Jalen Hurts' numbers, I'll wait. All right, there's the running backs. Take a snapshot of that on the screen. Those are some good numbers there. Median numbers for Barkley, 20 attempts. Where's that number at? 128 yards or 126. And then Gainwell's 5 for 22. Receiving, Gainwell catches 1 pass for 6 yards. Barkley receiving 2 for 10. In the playoffs, he was 2 for 4. So they didn't look to throw to him much. A couple times, but if he breaks one of those, that's big. That could be something to play as well. Barkley rushing and receiving over. That's something that I'd have to bet today. It's an over. I'm going to go over 109.5 with Barkley. I think Gainwell's going to get some attempts. I think I went over the last game with him at 9.5. I would do it again. He's a good back. He's a really solid back, and could give Barkley gives Barkley a little bit of a rest. Let's look at the Kansas City running backs. Kareem Hunt's been the guy as of late. I'm really wondering, though, where's Isaiah Pacheco health-wise? Because I think he's RB1, Isaiah Pacheco. I think he's the better back out of the two. But the numbers don't say that for this game because of participation. I'll get it right. Can't even say the word right now. I'll try it later. How many touches are these guys going to get? Kareem Hunt, his number in the book is 43.5. Longest rush, 10.5 yards. On the season, Kareem Hunt, 14 rushes, 59 yards. And, a lot of this was late in the season, so that's good because Pacheco was injured. Pacheco came back. They kind of shared some time. He's at 44.5 right now at the South Point. His season median is 59 yards, 14 for 59. In the playoffs, only 2 games, 12.5 for 54. So he has gone over this number. I don't know if he's going to be able to run against the Philadelphia defense. I don't think so. So that's what I'm interested in that, I guess, because the factor that I talked about, I think Pacheco's the better running back. And I think he's RB1 if he's healthy. And they just need to get him going. They haven't been able to get Pacheco going in either playoff game. If he has one big run, he's going to be RB1 for a while, and Kareem Hunt will be on the sideline. For the season, Pacheco, 9 rushes, 32 yards. In the playoffs, 5 for 15. So the playoffs, big difference. Hunt's had 12.5 carries per game in the playoffs. Pacheco just 5. I think that could really even out in this game. I'm not going to bet Pacheco over, but I am going to bet Kareem Hunt under. And it's a prop I can wait on. I can wait on this one and see if this goes up a little bit, and I think it could, from 43.5 to 44.5. Maybe we see 45.5. So that's where I'm looking. I'm looking to go under that at a little higher number against Kareem Hunt because I really think Pacheco's going to be the guy. Xavier Worthy, they give the football to him. He's going to get an attempt to run the ball. His number's at 5.5. I think that he could, again, go over the 5.5. He could lose 7 yards on a run, or he could break one for 12 yards. I think he's got a better chance of breaking one for 12 yards than he does losing yardage. So I'll go with over 5.5 yards. I win with him last time out, over 4.5, and that's why it's up to 5.5 now. The book's made the adjustment. All right, wide receivers. Here's what we're all looking for. This is the interesting, the receivers and tight ends. We've got some really good ones in this game. A.J. Brown, one of the best in football, 4.5 receptions for 69.5 yards. Those numbers are easily attainable for A.J. Brown. His season median, 5 for 87. Against the top 5 defenses, 5 for 97. Well over that. Now, his first 2 games in the playoffs, he fooled everybody, went 1 for 10 and 2 for 14. They got me. I bet him under in the third game against Washington, and he went crazy, 6 for 96. I know they have Saquon, but I think A.J. Brown's their number one target. Devonta Smith is their number two target. A.J. Brown is wide receiver one. Now, the one thing that does hurt that number and that bet a little bit is that the Kansas City Chiefs are weak against the tight end, and Dallas Goedert should have a big day. I was just working on Dallas Goedert's numbers before we started the show. And Goedert, regular season, 5 targets, 4 catches, 47 yards. And against the best defenses, 5 targets, 4 catches, 35 yards. In the playoffs, though, Dallas Goedert, 6 targets, 4 catches, 56 yards. 6, 4, and 56. And he had a big game against Washington, 85. Kansas City does not defend the tight end very well. They're going to have to spend time on Brown and Smith. They will keep your hands full, and they can go the distance. So I do like Goedert over 49.5 passing yards. And I jumped to him because talking about A.J. Brown, and do I want to go over 69.5 yards for A.J. Brown? There's Goedert's numbers on the screen right there. He's actually at 50.5 now. So this number's going up, and it's going to go up a little bit more. I think Goedert will be a very popular play over because everybody knows the Kansas City Chiefs don't defend the tight end very well. They're in the bottom half of football against opponents' tight ends. And Dallas Goedert's a good one. And Jalen Hurts uses him on a daily. So he's gonna get his 6-7 targets, and he's going to catch 4 or 5 passes. And there's the number, 4.5. That's a tough number. I think he can get to the 5, though. I really do. In the playoffs, just 4 out of 6. But that's against teams that, I think are average guarding the tight end, defending the tight end. But I like the passing yards over for him. I'm going to pass on A.J. Brown. I don't want to get caught in the switches. I bet under on him last time. Now, if I go over, he'd probably catch, 65 yards worth and go under. That number could go way up as well, A.J. Brown. I think you could see 75 on him. Just looking at the numbers, his season median, 87. Against the top 5 teams on the road, 97. I think it could go up. That might be a middle situation for me if I go over 69.5 and get to come under like 75.5 by game day. All right, Devonta Smith, season, 4 catches, 60 yards. And he's targeted 7 times. Against the best competition, he did catch 6 passes for 51 yards. That's the numbers you see on the screen right there. 6 for 51 on the road against the top defenses he played this year. His numbers in the book, 4.5 for 52.5 yards. First reception, 8.5 yards. Total receptions, 4.5. As you see there, right there at the South Point, 4.5 total receptions. That's a good number. Devonta Smith has not dropped a pass in the playoffs. Holy cow. They've thrown the ball to him 4 times, all 3 playoff games, and he caught all 4 passes. His yardage was 55, 21, and 45. This is another one I'm going to look. Hopefully it goes up. I saw 52.5 earlier today. It's 50.5 at the South Point. I think they have the right number, but I think this could go up a little bit just because of the fact that Dallas Goedert's going to take some production away from Smith, and Brown will as well. So Saquon may get a little bit more action as well. Let's take a look at the Kansas City receivers. Philadelphia pretty good against the tight end. Travis Kelce is, a monster when it comes playoff time. Let's look at his season and see where he is, at his age. On the season, 8 times he's targeted per game, 5.5 receptions, 54 yards. Against the top defenses, he didn't do well. 8 targets, 4 catches, 27 yards. That was Kelce. That's against the top defenses he faced. Noah Gray did a better job against those top defenses, so he may be a tough one to go under. 4 catches, 4 attempts, 23 yards. On the season, Noah Gray, 3 targets, 2 catches. But on the road against those top teams, they threw more to Gray. That could have been just they were giving Kelsey a little bit of rest in those games. He didn't play as much. Noah Gray got more action. Kelsey's number right now, receiving numbers at the South Point, 62.5 yards. I want to look at his playoffs and his Super Bowls. I just used his playoff games with Patrick Mahomes because Kelsey had 4 playoff games before Mahomes was a starter, and he did really well in those games. He was a player before Mahomes even. With Patrick, 10 targets, 7 receptions, 96 yards, and a touchdown. That's in the playoffs with Patrick Mahomes. 10 targets, 7 catches. His number is pretty high at 6.5. Longest reception, 19.5 yards. I didn't look at longest receptions. I can get that real quick if I had to. I don't want to take a look at it because that's an interesting number. Travis Kelce, playoffs, longest. Interesting, this site doesn't carry the longest reception. I think Alex has it on this side because that's 20 is his median longest reception in the regular season. And that's 19.5. I bet you he probably goes over that. He's just such a key player in a big game. Super Bowls for Travis Kelce. Mahomes targets him 8 times per game, and he catches 7.5. He's either going to catch 7 or 8 passes. Pretty amazing. So that means in his 4 Super Bowls, his numbers are probably 9 catches, 8 catches, 7 catches, 6 catches. He's just so consistent. And 87 yards is his median. His total in the book right now, 62.5. It's gone up a little bit. I saw 60.5. But it's now at 62.5. I would make a case for over 60.5, maybe even over 62.5. He had 117 yards against Houston in the playoffs. That was the first playoff game. I went over there and won that bet, but I went under the next time out against Buffalo. He was only targeted 4 times, caught 2 passes for 19 yards. Not a good game. Maybe he has a bounce back here. I know Mahomes is going to look for him, and I think with the wide receiver talent that Kansas City has, it has to free Kelsey up a little bit. Buffalo just may guard the tight end extremely well. Philadelphia does, but I don't think as good as Buffalo. All right, Xavier Worthy. Here's an interesting one. Xavier Worthy against the top 5 defenses, 4 for 46 yards. His number has been going up. I think his number started around 46.5, 47.5. I've seen as high as 57.5. And it's basically, I think, around 54.5. There you go right there. 8 targets, 4 receptions for Worthy against the top defenses on the road. Hollywood Brown targeted 6 times in those same type of games, 3 catches, 40 yards. They're both pretty similar on what they attain per game against good defenses on the road. But Worthy now much, much higher. 56.5. There you go. 56.5 it's up to. I like it under 56.5 for him, but I'm going to wait. Let it keep going up. Under 56.5 for me, but I might get a higher number. I think Marquise Hollywood Brown is right on the number. He was 40.5 I saw earlier today. Will Xavier Worthy score a touchdown? Yes, plus 160. No, plus minus 180. Mahomes is probably going to throw a couple. That's what he does. He will throw a couple. I'm looking for Kelsey to catch one, though. I think Kelsey catches one. Total receiving yards for Marquise Brown, 41.5. I'm right on the number. I think that is the right number. I'm just wondering what's the matter with DeAndre Hopkins. Because this guy could be a world-class receiver still. He has been in his career. He must be injured. He has to be injured. His top games against top 5 defenses this year, DeAndre Brown, 2 for 29. 2 for 29. And in the playoffs, against Houston, they threw to him once. That's it. Didn't catch it. They threw to him once against Buffalo. He caught it for 11 yards. His number right now, 11.5 at the book. This is actually 12.5 at South Point. Little better number. I like him under 12.5. It's a small play. It's just a hunch play that he's not healthy. And he's not going to get a lot of action in this football game. It's going to be Marquise Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster. I like Schuster over. His playoff number, Schuster's played in four or five playoff games. He's got a pretty good resume in the playoffs. And he's had some really big games. And he just had a big game his last time out. So Schuster, 2 for 29 in playoffs. 2 for 29. His number's around 16.5 receiving yards. So I do like Smith-Schuster over. I like Kelsey over 60.5, 61.5. I think he goes over that. Worthy, I think, is too high. Marquise Brown, I think, is right on the number. And that's about it. That's all I got for you today. I think that pretty good rundown. Again, Dallas Goedert has been the play over. A lot of people like Noah Gray under. They just don't think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to pin their Super Bowl hopes on Noah Gray. Travis Kelce is going to be on the field probably 95% of the time. So don't think Noah Gray is going to get the targets. People do like him under 1.5 receptions and under 12.5 yards for Noah Gray. So Smith-Schuster, I like over in receptions and over in yards. Kansas City's kicker, Butker, I like him over 1.5 field goals. This Philadelphia defense is very, very good. And Vic Fangio's got a lot of revenge against Patrick Mahomes. He lost against him, I think, all 8 times he's faced him. And he's 2-6 ATS. But that was with Denver and Miami, 2 defenses that weren't very good. Now he's got a defense and players that he can scheme with and put pressure on Mahomes. I think Mahomes is going to get sacked 3 times in this game. I think Hurts may get sacked a couple of times because Kansas City's got some good pass rushers. Looking at the defenses real quick, yards per play allowed, Kansas City's number 12, Philadelphia's number 1. Number 1 in the league in yards per play allowed, 4.7. Rushing yards allowed, Kansas City number 8, Philadelphia number 10. Rushing yards average, Kansas City number 5 at 4.1, Philadelphia number 10 at 4.3. Passing yards allowed, Kansas City 18th and Philadelphia number 1, 5.1 yards per pass allowed. Kansas City allows 6.1, 1 yard more per pass than Philly does. All right, pressure. Kansas City's going to blitz. That's what they do. 4th most blitzes in the NFL. They are going to put pressure on Hurts. I think Hurts does very well against the blitz. Watching him against Detroit, and Detroit blitzed him, he just beat them up. Philadelphia, not Philadelphia, but Washington against Philadelphia. Washington did not blitz. Washington played regular defense, or Philadelphia's defense, Philadelphia's defense against Washington did not blitz, and they don't blitz. Washington did better. I think Hurts can do well. I'd have to go back and look. I'm not certain now. Jalen Hurts is the guy I was thinking of, did well against the blitz and then did not against Philadelphia's defense. Philadelphia will put no pressure. 28th in the league in blitzes, 28th in the league in pressure percentage. So Hurts will have a little bit of time. They're going to stop the run, I believe. Sack-wise, though, Philadelphia had more sacks on the year than Kansas City. Even though Kansas City pressures the quarterback, they have more sacks. So it might be something to look at rushing yards. I didn't touch on that. Jalen Hurts' number is 36.5 rushing yards. On the season, 10 rushes, 38 yards. His away games against top defenses, 9 for 37. And in the playoffs, 9 for 38. How's that knee? It looked pretty good against Washington. I think he's going to take off at some times in this game because of the pressure that Kansas City brings. And I think he could go over those rushing yards, over 36.5 rushing yards. So I'm going to bet that one as well. All right, that's it for me today. You guys have a great rest of your weekend. Alex White, Jeff Parles will take you through action for college basketball and hockey on Saturday and Sunday, and some NFL stuff. I know there's a lot of shows. Please go to the South Point Studio on YouTube. Please like and subscribe if you did. If you liked it, please hit the like button and subscribe to the show. That's how YouTube knows where to rank us, to get us up there so more people can watch us. So please help us get more people here to watch. You can do that by subscribing to the show and liking the show. Again, today, Punchlines at noon with Frank Nicotero. So you guys have a great weekend. Best of luck on the Super Bowl. I'll be back Monday morning at 9 a.m. See you then. Have a great weekend, folks.